Assalamu alaikum. Good evening, everyone. I can see people coming in. Thank you for joining. We'll give you like 2 more minutes and we'll start. Just let me know in the comment if you can hear us, if you can hear me right now. I'm talking right now. So just let me know in the comment if you can hear me properly. All right. Just confirm everyone if you're joining in now. Just let me know if you can hear us. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. If you're here, just let me know that you're here so I can start. Brilliant. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's start, everyone. Welcome to Unboxed with SG. Last Tuesday, I wasn't available. I was just in a holiday mood, so I took a little break. I think I deserved it. So now I'm back, and we have this power packed series for you this time. We're not going to talk about different topics, but we are actually going to build on the concepts that we are going to unpack in every podcast. And this series is going to run for 5 Tuesdays, and we would love to have you back for each of the segment. Um, let's cut straight to it. Most leaders are blind to the person in the mirror. They can talk numbers, set strategies, chase deadlines. But if you ask them what triggers you, then there is silence. Here is the truth. If you can't name your own triggers, you're not leading. You are reacting, you are running on autopilot, and autopilot leadership, it always crashes. So, the idea here is that we must remember what we really need to know to be a good leader. And today we are going to look into self awareness. The overall concept that we are unpacking in 5 Tuesdays is emotional intelligence and why it is very important for a leader to be emotionally intelligent. And how can you be emotionally intelligent? Are you born with that intelligence or can you actually develop that? This is another thing that we will be unpacking during our 5 sessions. Today we are stripping away the mask. This isn't about polished speeches or leadership theory. This is the grit and the guts. The things most leaders only confess to themselves at 2 a.m. I've been in that position. I'm sure my guest has been in that position. I'm sure the viewers have been in that position where you were thinking of something that you did wrong as a leader and then you didn't admit it, you didn't even accept your mistake. But at 2 a.m., when you were reflecting and it was just you and yourself and nobody else around you, you thought, oh, that was a mistake. I shouldn't have done it. And that is where self awareness comes in. I'm not doing it alone, obviously, and I'm joined in this living room by John Berry. And you have already met John last time. It's just that his camera did not work last time, so he was not most of the time in front of the camera. His camera got fixed in the last 5 minutes of last podcast. So this time he's all set, he's there, and he's going to be joining in this conversation. And I told you that this is a living room style conversation. It's not an interview, it's not a lecture, it's just two leaders, shoes off, coffee in hand, daring to speak the truths everyone feels but no one says. So lean in, because if you don't see yourself clearly, the world will eventually see through you. And that is not good. So let's start. You know what terrifies me? Leaders who think they are calm when everyone else sees the storm. I once had someone tell me, "We always know you are angry because your hair are up. So if my hair are up, it means that I'm angry or I'm not in a good mood." And I just thought, wow. So even though I'm trying to stay calm, um, you know, from outside, people can see this is my blind spot, and I need to understand my blind spots as well. So, John, I'm going to get you in. First of all, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. And I am so excited to be on your podcast again. And I've been so looking forward to do this, especially this style.
Thank you so much. So, John, I was just talking about the blind spots that we have. For example, I had a blind spot and I did not realize that I have a blind spot. Have you had that kind of situation where somebody highlighted it to you that, oh, John, we know when you are upset because this is what you usually do, even though you don't say anything?
As you said earlier when you opened, I think we've all gone through that. And I know mine is I become a little bit more reserved,
So,
where I'm
more
not
on the
saying as
quieter
much,
side.
exactly, where I'm not saying as much as I should. And I know that, oh my God, I know that's such an awful thing because that does not come across to my team well at all. Because then it looks more like what is really going on. Is it
Right.
being standoffish? And it's not the image as leaders that we want to present to people. You know, I stood here for a minute and I started smiling because you opened up. I thought about literally a flashback of all these memories of not just myself but other people that I've watched over the years
Mm.
as leaders. And we all try and model ourselves after. We want to be our own person, but we also look as observant people as what works and what doesn't work, what
Correct.
draws people in, what pushes them away. And when I first started taking a look at emotional intelligence, it just really drew me in because I thought this is something I should be spending more time on because it's so interesting being able to understand how people think, what brings them in, what gets people to retain? Why are we able to keep them as long as we have, as long as we are able to? What gets them to engage more, not just with their work, but with their colleagues around
That is so true. And that's what I usually tell leaders whenever I'm engaging with a group of leaders who are aspiring to be great leaders and they just started, that keep a trigger journal. Like, what triggers you? What's your blind spot? When is the time when nobody knows that you are actually going through a storm, and when is the time when everybody can see except you? So, and when the storm brews, use the three-step reset: pause, name, reframe. Don't let your storm spill onto your team. This is very, very important. Sometimes we don't know, but we are already creating a ripple effect as leaders. Our moods are dictating the mood of the workspace. So when people are coming in and they're looking at you, even though you're not saying anything, even though I'm not saying anything, they will always know what's happening. So the I think the very first principle of knowing ourselves as leaders, or self-awareness, as the title of this today's podcast is, self-awareness is very, very important. So knowing about your blind spots and also knowing about your triggers is very, very important. There are many times when I realized about my this was a flaw in my leadership, that every time somebody was asking me a question, maybe third time, I would lose it. I'll snap at that person like, I just told you, why are you asking again and again? Maybe there is something that I'm not telling what is being asked. Maybe I didn't understand the question fully. Maybe I did not um, convey the message in a clear manner. Maybe the selection of my words was not clear. So it's not that the other person is asking on purpose. It's because people genuinely want to please you, and they genuinely want to do good things. They want to be good at work. So that's why the question is coming back again. I have then developed that skill after some time not to lose my patience when the same question is asked maybe third or fourth time, and I'm usually try my best to keep my calm. But if it is going into fifth question, the same question asked again, then that's a conversation. You, I think, need to pull that employee on a side and say, hey, let me help you, okay? It looks like you asked the same question in the meeting around 3 4 5 times. Maybe I'm not answering the way you want to understand it, so let's sit together for 5 minutes on a side and let's talk about what is it that you are not clear about. I think that kind of side dialogue would definitely help. And another thing that I learned about myself, that if we are getting people on the side, it usually becomes, that, oh, meet me in the corner. Meet me in the corner is danger. Like, it means employees will be worried that what's going to happen in the corner. Is she going to tell us off, or what's going to, like, could, is the, don't we have a right to actually ask questions? So John, have you had that kind of feeling where people are scared of asking questions, and how did you tackle that? Or have you seen it with a leader where people are actually not opening up to the leader, not asking questions because they've been shut down so many times?
When you talk about triggers, the first thing I think we both are aware, and all your listeners I'm sure are aware, triggers bypass logic. They go right back, they go right to automatic response. Or actually not even a chosen response, it's a reaction. How angry are they? Are they upset? And how many of us are actually taking the time to figure out what was the trigger? What was the root cause of this? What brought me to the response that I just gave, this reaction that I gave to something? And that's, I think, when we talk about self-awareness, that is probably one of the hardest parts of leaders, because, hey, you want to come across to people that you are somebody that look for the answers, that you are the responsible one. You're going to help them get to the next level, and not just in the assignment they're on, but hopefully in their career, in your company. But if you're someone that is not self-aware, that you're not able to sit back and think about, why am I responding this way?
Yeah.
Because if I'm not able to come across, my own people they're not going to stay. They're going to be looking for other positions. And the whole point of self-awareness is being aware of our emotions, being aware of our reactions. This is how we become a better communicator.
True.
This is how we build trust in our people.
True.
And have I been around people like that over the years? Yes. When I first got into leadership, I was told I should apply for a position to be a manager. I did. Did I know anything about it? No, they just throw you in and you figure it out when you get there. And I wanted things to be perfect, and when they weren't, I didn't yell or scream, but you knew when I was upset. As I said, I would become reserved, and I would wind up just doing the task myself, which was wrong on my part. And I met a lot of people over the years. As I said earlier, there was one gentleman in particular that we tried to model ourselves after. Not only was he good with the employees, but other executives, other customers. And that's who you wanted to be. Like I think, like 3 or 4 years in a row, he won Store Manager of the Year for the corporation because he was just that good. And I had never met a people person who had that kind of a skill level. And I kept thinking, how do I do that where no matter what's coming at me, and I'm not saying it's about control, but I don't know, maybe I'm not saying it, but maybe I am kind of saying it, is that I want to come across as a leader that is confident, that is also a bridge builder, someone that can lead and help people. I don't want people to follow me. I want them to be with me. I don't want followers. I want people that have ideas. And if I'm not self-aware of how I'm coming across, then guess what? The other emotions that go into emotional intelligence, which we'll be talking about over the next few weeks, is the self-regulation, empathy, motivation, social skills. None of them come into play correctly if I'm not aware of who I am.
Correct. Absolutely. Thank you, John. And I think we just spoke about our blind spots and our triggers, which is a very important piece of information that we need to have when we are claiming that we are self aware. Um, the other thing that I wanted to bring up, John, was the body as a mirror. Your body tells on you before your mouth does. Jaw tight, shoulders stiff, shallow breath. And there's the drama. Your team feels it even if you fake a smile. You can't hide panic when your body is broadcasting it in high definition, basically. Well, what's your thought about that?
People are, please correct me if I'm wrong, our words say one thing, but our body language tells people something else. And people are going to look at and follow your body language before they follow your words. You can sit there and try and convey a message, but if it's not coming across the way it is, people say, and as you just pointed out, if it's my tone, it's how I'm carrying myself. Is it my posture? Am I looking at people with direct eye contact? Am I looking away? The body language is everything. And as I said, when people are looking, if you're not able to look at yourself in that aspect in the mirror and be able to see, like, hey, is this really how I'm coming across to people? People are not going to follow. They're not going to lead with me.
True, true, absolutely. When we are speaking about body as a mirror, there's one more thing that is triggering or could be again a blind spot, something that we don't usually think about, is the feedback basically as a mirror. And I will talk to you about this, but just before, because somebody just made a comment, oh, that is so true. We can understand whenever we are tense, we can feel it, we feel it, and then other people also feel it. So for those people who just made that comment, I just wanted to tell you there is a tool. I call it a 60 seconds body scan. And what do you do there? Nobody needs to do it for you. You can do it yourself every morning. You could stand in the mirror, but if you feel that's a childish thing, don't do that. But ask yourself while you're driving to work, where is the tension today? And you will be surprised if you meet a psychiatrist or you are seeing somebody for these kinds of therapies because the tension is taking over your body. They'll always tell you need to ask yourself, where is the tension today? Is it jaw? Is it chest? Is it stomach? Because different types of stresses give you different type of tensions in your body. And if you know, and once you know, unclench, breathe, and reset. You got to let it go. That feeling that you are carrying with you to the work, please leave it behind you, because that's going to ruin the whole entire day. And your body language is going to keep sending those signals that you thought that you are actually in control of, but you really are not. So try this 60-second body scan while you're driving, or before you leave home, or before even entering the lift, the elevator of your office. I think that would help you. 60 seconds is nothing. It's like a minute only. So before you enter your office, you have already done that exercise, a little exercise of unclenching your jaw. or breathe in, breathe out. This definitely is going to help. Um, when we talk about now feedback as mirror, the word itself makes leaders sweat. I'll never forget the first time someone told me, John, um, maybe John, you will remember that, oh, Seher, you are speaking too much, or you bulldoze conversations, or, you run over while other people are talking. And I wanted to argue that, to be honest. I wanted to argue, I wanted to explain. But the second I stopped defending, I realized they were right. So, what do you think about taking feedback as leaders?
I remember the first time I heard, they said, hey, would you be interested in doing a feedback? I sat there thinking, oh, okay. I was going to say, oh, okay, great. And I had no idea what one was. And then when I found out, I was like, well, what do you think? This is just an evaluation with my peers, people working with me. They're going to tell me not just, it's not really your evaluation, it's how you're coming across to people. And I saw more, honestly, I saw more value in that than I did an evaluation of job performance. Because I looked at it as, well, do I think I'm good at what I do? Absolutely. We all feel that way. We're great. Hire me now. That's how we all look at things. But how I'm coming across to the people that I work with, people that are above me in their positions, I want to be looked at as this is somebody that we trust, communicate with, and he's credible in his word, in his job. As I said, I wasn't sure of it, but when I heard the responses that I did, and then everyone, they're very respectful. I had it done a couple times. And after the first one, I was able to change things because I was always really good with people, but also, too, hey, like everybody else, we all walk into work every day. Up here, we've got greatest attitude. There's days like, please, why do I have to be here? I just want to go home. I'm just not in the mood for this. But when you feel that way at work, that comes across. So getting the proper feedback, I find more value in the 360 feedback. That tells me whether or not people want to even be at work.
True. But John, isn't it that sometimes leaders are not very open to, like, we're talking about your example and my example, and we have been through the mill, to be honest. We have been in the field in your field, you've been a leader for a very long time, and I've been an educational leader for about 17 years now, or 20 perhaps. While I was still teaching, there were 3 years when I was still teaching, but I was leading a school at the same time. So if I count that in, that's going to make it 20 years altogether. And I feel because we've been through the mill and it's been a very long journey for us, so we have made mistakes, we have learned from those, we have regulated ourselves into better skills, maybe masking it better or performing it better, whatever we can say. However, there are people still who are struggling with 360 feedback because they feel threatened. Leaders sometimes hold grudges. What do you think about that? And where do you fit that into self-awareness?
Using that word, the person that you're describing right now is someone that does not have a strong self-awareness.
Correct. Agreed. Fully agreed.
One of the first things you start discovering emotional intelligence by components was, and forgive me, but I still have a tough time even accepting this word, is they said you can teach anybody emotional intelligence. And there was a study before that you can. And I looked at it, I can't even tell you how many times. And I'm not being sarcastic. I was like, yeah, I've got some people that I don't think I can teach them that. Because, as you just said, they get so defensive. And I keep thinking, either the person above them it's not giving them the proper dialogue that they need to say, hey, look, if you're not aware of your emotions and how it's reflected on the other people and how they're looking at you, then you're not going to get this. You're not going to understand it. And I have worked with a number of people like that over the years. And were they good at their jobs? Yes. But did they last that long in the company? No, they didn't. They wound up having to leave, find something else, because I think we're all changing over the last, 5-10 years in regards to, you have a workforce that just, they're coming in, they're not tolerating that behavior of managers anymore. They are stepping up. They are saying something that, hey, this is wrong. I'm not going to be treated this way. They're actually saying something about it.
Correct.
And those people that are above them, those are the ones that are being held to the task now. And being told by their supervisors, you can't talk to people like that anymore. You need to treat people with respect.
True.
We need these people.
True. I have a very interesting comment here, followed by a question. And I'm not going to wait till the end of the session. I think it will be appropriate if I just read that comment. Rabia is saying, as a team leader, I prefer to communicate in a polite and respectful manner. Well done, Rabia. However, sometimes I feel that my soft approach is taken for granted by team members. How can I maintain a kind leadership style while also ensuring boundaries, respect, and accountability are upheld? What do you think, John?
What was his name? Robert?
Yes, Rabia.
Great question. I think it's important to not change who you are. Be the person that, the leader that you are developing into, the leader that you've been. But yes, is there a time where you don't have to change, your approach, but you do have to come across where they know that you are the boss. And that there is a time, there is setting a boundary each day. And as much as we want to be everybody's best friend and pal, we can't do that all the time. So when you walk into work every day, yes, check on people, make sure they're okay, because staff notices things like that. They know that you're a leader that cares. Walk by everybody's office each day. Hey, good morning, how's it going? If you need anything, let me know. They know that you're somebody that's there for them, but they also see that, okay, this is the person that's in charge.
True. Shahbaz, yes, that is absolutely correct. Self-awareness is extremely important in the leadership. And then our tree school, I would like to read the reminder that you've given. You said great insights, a reminder that leadership is as much about inner growth, emotional intelligence, and self-awareness as it is about outer action. That is absolutely correct. It is, because whatever is happening inside, whatever is going in your mind, and even though some leaders are under the illusion that people can't see through, actually everybody can see through. So yes, your self-awareness and your inner growth and your emotional intelligence, understanding of emotional intelligence, is obviously going to reflect in your action. And then RJ is saying, I have problem while, and I love the way she has just turned it into a verb, and she's saying, I have problem with leading others, that if they don't complete their task properly, I try to do it by myself. Is it right or not? Because it put burden on me. What do you say, John? Because I can completely relate to it. There was a time in my early days of leadership when people would not understand instructions or wouldn't do it the way I wanted. And then being perfectionist or trying to be a perfectionist, I started taking on those responsibilities that weren't mine. And it gave me a lot of pressure and a lot of burden and increased my tasks also. So what's your take on it, John?
Everything that you just said was exactly, when I first became a leader, was exactly how I was. If somebody didn't finish the task, I jumped in and did it. And was I wrong for that? Absolutely. Did I want to meet a timeline? Yes, I did. I think the first thing that your listeners should do is pull that person aside with a do a one-on-one.
Mm.
Say, what do you need from me to help you complete this task? Because if you don't take that kind of approach or any kind of approach, your, your plate is going to be full every single day because you're not only going to be doing your own assignments,
True.
you're going to be doing the assignments of your staff as well. But always pull that person and never do it in a group setting because the person will feel that they're being ganged up on. They'll start getting defensive. Sit down with them, get a cup of coffee with them, make it a friendly atmosphere,
Mm.
but ask them, hey, we have a timeline that we have to get done here. Tell me what I need to do to help you finish your project.
Mm.
And maybe it's something that you yourself didn't provide enough resources for this person to get their assignment done.
Correct.
But just find out what the root cause of why they didn't get their job completed.
Mm.
It is not on you to finish their work every day.
True. I also have a comment here where our tree school, I believe this is going to be the leader of the school, and they're asking, yes, they are not willing to ask questions. I think we have already spoken about it earlier as well, where we said i- if they're not willing to ask questions, maybe you need to go back and invest in their confidence. When people are having low confidence, they don't ask questions. I can quote my own example. When I was a teacher, a beginning teacher, when I started my career, I still remember I was the quietest person, the most timid person in the room. And the reason was because I thought everybody else knew more than me. And if I will open my mouth, I will look stupid. And that's the truth, really. There was nothing else there. It's not that I wasn't interested. It's not that I wasn't motivated. I had questions, but my voice was trapped in my throat because of the confidence. So maybe sometimes it's not really that they're not interested or motivated. Maybe it's really a question of building confidence of your team members. And then once I got the confidence, I had an excellent leader in my early days who gave me all that confidence to ask questions, to come up and will say again. As a joke, I remember my leader used to say, "We are not going to leave the room until Seher asks a question." You see, that just gave it put me on the spot, but in a funny way and in a lovingly manner that it gave me that kind of push that I needed. Sometimes I was embarrassed enough not to, still not to be able to ask, but sometimes I got the courage and I asked a question, and my questions were always encouraged. So no matter what kind of question you are receiving, always encourage them and redirect if that's not the question you were hoping for. If the level of sophistication or the challenge is not you were hoping for, remember people are coming from different backgrounds and different exposure. Not that they are having little ability. It's nothing to do with the ability and competency. It's to do with exposure mainly. So if they're not able to ask questions, perhaps they just don't know how to craft a question. So now here is a workshop that you can plan for them on asking good questions without mentioning anyone. So I think these kind of tools will be helpful for you. Um, but again, it brings you back to self assessment or self awareness. Remember, we said find out why people are scared of asking questions. Is it that they're scared of you, or is it because they just do not have the skill of asking questions? So, whatever it is, then work on that. If it is you, work on yourself. If it is the skill that the people need, then work on people's skill. I think that is how it's going to be built. Then Annie is asking, not asking, she's just sharing her feedback. She's saying, I have a bad experience. I don't want to say that. It's the country involved. I don't want to get into any politics. She's saying, I have a bad experience in Pakistan. No one bothers to learn good leadership strategies. Uh, well, I don't think it's just a problem of Pakistan. What do you say, John? How do you see leadership, country leaderships here? I don't want to go into, I still don't want to go into uh,
Yeah, I'm
politics.
not looking at. That's wherever you go.
Every,
That,
every,
that's just
everyone is facing the same.
yeah. That's not specific to one place. That's everywhere.
And let me remind you, I work with people, Annie, who come from different countries. I work with people who come from America, USA. I work with people who come from UK, England, or Ireland, or um, Scotland, where I studied. I work with people who come from Philippines. I work with people who come from India. I work with people who come from um, other Arab countries like Qatar, like Kuwait, like Egypt. You know, everybody has a different culture of leadership, and that might be acceptable where they are. If you have got exposure of a place where you really love the kind of leadership you experienced there, and you just loved it, and you thought, this is how it should be in my country, or when I go back, this is how I should see it, maybe you will not. So don't be disappointed. Things will change when people like you are aware that these are the changes that need to be made in the leadership. And when you do have that leadership position, whenever you do have that position, start making changes, because remember, the change starts from your own self. It starts, charity begins at home, remember? So if you're trying to change the whole world, but you're not doing it yourself, then it's not going to happen. So thank you for mentioning that. And we enjoyed that little, pebble in the lake of politics, but we are not going to address it any further. Hassan, you're saying, I have a question. How do you define effective leadership? Like, what is effective leadership? And what is the role of a leader in setting and communicating an organizational vision? John, you would like to take that?
Being an effective leader, I think first thing you have to ask yourself is, am I an authentic leader? And when people talk, that seems to be the word that everybody uses all the time now, is being your authentic self. When I have a conversation with other leaders, I know ones that I can put my trust, my faith into. Not just about how they carry themselves, is if there's bad news, tell it to me now. Don't wait until, well, hey, this might happen. If there's a projection that I need to be prepared for, then please say it to me. Or if I'm doing something that's ineffective in my job, I want to hear it. That for me, that's being an effective leader, is someone who's going to be upfront and honest, who is going to be authentic. Because if you're not, then how are you letting the people that work for you or with you, how are you helping them grow?
Correct.
They're supposed to be future leaders.
Correct.
Or they're supposed to be better leaders. So if we're not being honest with them, then we are doing them a disservice.
That is so true. Let me remind everyone at this point, the beautiful point that John has just shared. We are talking about self-awareness for leaders, okay, today. That's what our main agenda is. And under that, we have spoken about uh, the triggers and the blind spots. So you got to understand and work on your triggers and blind spots. We have also spoken about the body as the mirror of stress. So you need to understand what your body is trying to tell you when you are stressed or under a lot of pressure, and how you want to stop it from going to your team. That's the second thing that we discussed. We also spoke about feedback as a mirror. So how ready you think your leaders are, or you as a leader are ready for the feedback that other people are providing to you, your employees are providing, your team members are providing to you, other stakeholders who are linked with you in your job. How are they providing feedback, and how you are receiving it? When you over explain yourself as a leader, that is a sign that you still don't understand yourself, you still are not self-aware. So try to take and absorb the feedback that is coming to you, and then see where the action is required. And if the feedback contains content that does not require any action because you don't consider it true, then just forget about it. Why bother? It's not true. Just leave it. No need to over explain things. That's another thing that will position you as a strong leader. And then we have now fourth element of self-awareness that we are going to talk about, that is values and ego. Now, what we have been talking here, John and I have been talking already about values, like, you invest on your teachers, invest on your employees, give them the confidence and the skill to ask questions, and receive feedback, reflect on your mistakes and try to overcome those, instead of being rigid about it, that this is the way I am. Well, there is nothing to be proud of if this is the way you are. If that's what you always say in your mind whenever people are giving you feedback, and you always end up saying in your head, this is the way I am, deal with me. Well, you got to change, because if you don't change, and if this is the way you were 10 years ago, and if this is the way you are even now, and if this is the way you are going to be after 10 years, there is something fundamentally wrong with you, because you are not learning. You stop learning. So that should not be your mindset. So this is something very, very important, but it's connected to your values as well. When we are talking about values, the first thing we speak about is the mindset. First thing we speak about is acceptance of what other people are saying. Acceptance doesn't make you a weak leader. You are not agreeing, you are accepting, you are saying, okay, I hear you. Doesn't necessarily mean that you agree with the person. Maybe the person is coming from a lot of pressure, a background where there is a lot of emotion trapped. So, yes, you don't need to agree, but you hear them and you say, I hear you. Sit down, let's talk. I hear you. I think that confirmation and that acknowledgement of the feelings of your employees or your team members is going to change the entire scene for you. Now we're talking about values and ego. When you betray your values, I come from a certain value system, you come from a different value system. And if I'm trying to betray my values and I'm trying to be somebody who I'm not, my chest knows it before my head admits it. That's why leaders burn out. They're sprinting away from their own compass. And ego makes it worse. Ego says, don't show weakness, don't show weakness, don't do this or don't do that, because they will see you as a weak leader, when actually that could have been a sign of empathy. When you sat down and spoke to a team member about their struggles, it was a sign of understanding, it was a sign of, let me help you. That was a different sign, but you saw it differently, your ego saw it differently, and your ego stopped you. Ego isn't strength, it's armor. And armor, it's heavy. You can't run a marathon in an armor. Armor is for battles. So remember your task and your target and the kind of leadership you are in. If you are in a battle style leadership, then yeah, armor will work for you. But if you are in a leadership where you have to nurture other people, it's a marathon style, which means all the heavy weight thrown, and now you are your lighter self and you're connecting with others because now you can help them. So John, what do you say about that? What's your take on it?
When I first think about leadership, ego, I think defensiveness, someone that is protecting their pride, other than the product, the people around them, where values, and I like to think that I lead by my values values is who you are, and I believe that comes across every day in the actions that I take, that they are genuine, that they are authentic. And as you just said to yourself in your response, is that when I'm not being myself, if I'm trying to come across in a different way, where you said you can feel it in your chest, that you're not being you, you're not leading by your values.
Correct.
And people see that. People see that, and they're going to know that, all right. And I think right there is that's when our people around us see that. That's when communication starts to erode. Your credibility starts to erode. It's like, why aren't they being who they are? Stop worrying about protecting your image. This isn't about your image.
Correct.
This is about us and how we can all grow together. And that's the type of leader that I want to make sure that I'm around, make sure that I continue to keep growing into.
Is it that you stopped talking, or did it got interrupted?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now, but we didn't hear what you said last.
I don't know if you heard this part. I was using the example that you had given.
Yes, we heard that. Yes, we heard that. That part we heard. Yes.
Okay, then I think you got it.
Okay.
We talked about what drives us as about not being driven by your ego.
Yes.
About ego not being authentic.
Correct.
About if I want to show that I'm a person that leads by my values, my beliefs, who I am. And how many people, I think we can both comment on this, how many people do we know right now that you could honestly, in your own head, you don't have to say it obviously, that lead by ego? Do you know people like that? I do.
Well, we know many people like that, in fact, and I believe our viewers will know many people like that, who actually are driven by their own ego instead of the organizational priorities or vision. And that's the answer of Hassan. It's the answer of your question. If you remember, you said, like, what should a leader do to protect the organizational vision? And the answer is right here for you. Stay away from your ego. That's how you can protect the organizational vision. There's another question here. What are the 3 most essential qualities an effective leader must possess today? I think the emphasis on in today's time, where things are really challenging, the targets are really hard to achieve, the market is cutthroat. So, what are the 3 qualities, top qualities that effective leaders should have, and why? I can think of one here. I think it should be, well, a leader is always going to be a leader. It's not that you have to carry a gun and show it to everyone that I'm the leader. It's nothing like that. Once you are a leader, once you have the title and the that that nameplate says outside your office, you are the leader. The point is how you are getting everybody on your bus. So one quality that I always ask the upcoming leaders to think of is make them believe. Make your team members believe that what you are doing is what they actually need to do. Make them believe that this is what is going to help the larger community, help the humanity, help, because we are coming from education field, so obviously we're going to align it with educational targets. So when your teachers and when your team members believe you, they are going to ride the same bus that you are driving, basically. But if they don't believe you, they will hop in, hop off, hop in, hop off. That's what is going to happen. And you don't want that. You want consistency. You want people who connect with you and they never leave you. Or they leave you for good reasons, but not for the reasons that they didn't accept you as a good leader. So that's one that I can tell you, that a most important quality is that the leader has to be persuasive and motivational. So you motivate them, you persuade them to join your cause, to join your vision. John, can you think of one top quality or 2 top qualities that you can share with Hassan?
I'm going to give you 3 because you already got the one out of our 5 core components of emotional intelligence when you talked about motivation.
Yes.
I do think being self-aware of your emotions is what makes you a great leader, because it comes across to your people. Next week, when we talk about self-regulation, how do I regulate my emotions? I think that's very important in the leader, being able to do that. And one of the top ones, even above that for me, is empathy. Being able to put yourself into someone else's shoes, helping you understand the people around you, and people see that you're a leader that cares, that you are somebody that wants the best for all of them. That goes a long way in leadership.
True.
So I think empathy is right up there as well.
And we'll be going in detail of empathy, and we'll be going in detail of motivation, because those are the topics that we will be unpacking in our next 45 minute session. And then we'll leave 15 minutes again for you to ask questions. And by the way, thank you so much, everyone, for asking fabulous questions. I think today we are all on a row, like we are really, really coming together asking questions. I'm really liking it. Just give me 1 second before my laptop dies. I need to connect the charger. Okay, we're good. So there is another question that I've been asked. Uh, where do you draw the line between leading by authority and leading by influence? And which do you prioritize? Which style do you prioritize? I'll tell, but let's start with John for a change, because I've been always hijacking all the answers. So let's start with John. John, over to you. Leadership by authority, leadership by influence. Which one is your preference and why?
My preference would be leading by influence. You already have the authority. They already know that the position you're in. But you're going to choose how you're going to influence the people that work for you. And you have a choice to make there. Do I become the leader that's authentic and can be authoritative? Or do I want to be somebody that brings people in, that is not afraid to engage, wants to also help people grow in their positions? That's the leader that I think we should all try to be, is someone of influence. You already have the authority for it.
True. John, there's another interesting question here. And Hassan is asking again, do you believe leaders are born or made? And what does your what does your ongoing development as a leader look like?
Okay? Leaders are both. We are all different, every single one of us. Do I think you can make someone into a leader? Absolutely, a phenomenal one. But the person that's going to be taught how to be a leader might take a little longer. There are people that have just stronger leadership qualities. They are more outgoing. They are more engaging. But the person who's being taught how to be a leader, they're good, but I don't know if they're as authentic as someone that was just born to be one. And there was another part to that question. What was the second part?
Basically, he was saying, what does the development look like in a leader? If they are made, if they are developing as a leader, then what does that development look like?
Is to enroll them in leadership classes. You can find those either in person or online, going to seminars on how to be a proper leader. There's plenty of famous leadership influencers literally all over this world. And if you're not able to make one of their conferences in person, you can also, hey, we are, as of right now, what we're doing, we are in the world of being virtual for everything. So there's plenty of leadership styles that you can learn from different people and how to be a top leader. There are, yes, can you sit and read a book? Yes, but do I think that's as effective? No, it's not. You have to get around the people that do lead every day. You know, they say that you become the person of the group that you hang around with. If you hang around with people that you can tell they're not going to go that far, then guess what? You might want to question, am I around with the right group? Doesn't mean you don't have to be friends with them, but if you have a goal that, hey, this shouldn't be my circle, I need to be in a bigger group that's going to get me farther, because when you move your circle, when you change the people that aren't as effective as you need to be, you do experience growth because you're going to start acting in a different way than you did before. And when you're hanging out with the non-leaders.
True. And I think on this note, I have to remind Hassan, we had a conversation earlier. It was a workshop that I conducted on limiting self beliefs, and we discovered that many of the limiting beliefs about yourselves, they come from your immediate family or your very close friends, like you can't do it, or you can't make it, or this is not you, when actually you're ready to do it. And once you are thrown into that situation, you're actually able to deliver, you're actually able to shine. So you have to remember what John just said is very much taking you back to that conversation when he said, eh, look at your circle, the people you are connected with. It doesn't mean that the people who love you, you leave them behind and you never look back. That's not what he's saying. He's saying people who limit you, people who do not let you believe in yourselves, those are the people you need to get rid of. You don't need them in your life. And if they are family members and you can't get rid of them, obviously you can't, because family members are family members, are family for life. But what you can do, you can look for another circle that's going to help you understanding your strengths. That's what you can do, because you do, sometimes we are born with family and people who are always going to be in our surrounding, and we are not going to, leave them behind. They are with us, we carry them with us in our journey, which is fine. But if they're limiting you, because it can happen, it has happened, we have seen examples, people who had great potential but they couldn't do it because their families or their immediate friends or circle was very limiting. So they believed it, that they are not able to do it, or they're not able to achieve this dream, and they just didn't make an effort. But if they had connected with a group of people who is going to help them in believing what they can achieve, they would have done this. So I think this is a good reflection, maybe because people who are sitting here in the viewers, they have attended that. So I thought it would be a good reference to draw. John, you wanted to say something. Please go ahead.
Thank you for bringing up, you did spark the memory. When you talked about it could also be family members. And but I love my father with all my heart. He's no longer with us anymore. But it was my dad was my limiting belief. When I first got out of high school, I wanted to go in the workforce. And I was like, hey, I'll go back to school later on. I just want to work right now. But when I went back to school, he wasn't that supportive because he started to say to me, like my mom was happy, I was doing really well, I was getting A's on my courses. And he looked at me one day and I had said to him, we were out in his driveway, and I said, why aren't you happy about this? And he said, you could have gotten out of high school and you could have had all this paid for. It could have been done. And I said, why? Do you want me to be stuck in somewhere that I don't want to be? And then he talked about, he goes, when I was growing up, my friends and I, we all had dreams, but hey, sometimes you should just be happy with what you have. And I was really, as I said, I love him with all my heart, but I was really offended by that.
Yes.
And I thought, because you didn't want to go after your true potential, doesn't mean that I don't have to.
That is so true.
I think I was glad you brought that up about family, because yeah, the family that we all love, that they're with us no matter what. Sometimes they can say things that they can be the biggest people that give us a limiting belief.
True. Wow, I think this is now becoming even better, but we only have around 5 to 7 minutes left. I'll pick some more questions. Dani is saying, how do you decide what to delegate versus what to handle personally? And he's asking for principles of delegation. Dani, that's something that we will be unpacking in one of our upcoming sessions, the delegation. When we will be speaking about motivation, delegation will automatically be covered there, because you can't impose on people what they're not motivated for. So we'll come to that later on. But the first question is, what do you delegate versus what to handle personally? Um, for me, I always look at strategy level, key executive level decisions. That's what I handle personally. And when it comes to, for example, in a school, we want to open, um, an afternoon academy, which is going to help children who are gifted and talented and they are not reaching their full potential because of the limitation of the curriculum, which is the story of every school. So, as a leader, the executive level decision or the strategy level decision is that I want to open an afternoon academy with the school for the children who are gifted and talented, so they can reach their full potential, they can work on things they are talented in or they are gifted in, just specifically towards that. So that's an executive level decision that I want to open it. What it will look like, for example, budgeting, resources, what kind of talents and giftedness we will be covering in that program. Will we hire people from outside or will we rely on our own team, in-house team? Those are the decisions that I can then engage my senior level leaders who report to me, and I can leave it for them. So I have shared the strategy with them, and I've told them how it's going to be beneficial for students, but I have then delegated the actual implementation, the concept, the vibe, the ambience of the afternoon academy, what it looks like, what it feels like, what it offers, what is the impact, how it's going to change the life of our students, how is it going to be helpful for community in the long run. I'm leaving all of that with my team to decide, and everybody could be responsible for different segments of that project. So this is how I see it. John, do you agree or do you have a different take? Please bring it forward.
That answer was perfect. I think you covered everything on that. The only thing I was going to add was that, look, we do have people on our teams. I think we all have that no matter what industry we're in. And we have some people on our team that you can see have a little bit more leadership than others. So those I would delegate a little bit more responsibility to.
Right. I have a
And move them up to a little bit
yeah,
of a higher level decision.
correct.
And I would say, hey, look, let's see what you come up with, and then we're going to sit down after that
Mm.
review. And I'll help you where you need to make a few adjustments, if
Absolutely.
any have to be made.
Yes, because sometimes you do need to look at the final plan. What I usually do, I don't know if Kiran is here today or not because she's been very quiet if she's there. When I'm asking, like she reports to me, when I'm asking her to do something, all I ask for is the report at the end. So what happened? How did it go? What did you do? What did you do next? How did you solve this problem? How many problems were there to begin with? Did you not plan those problems? Did you not see that through? Being proactive, what could you think to make it better next time so you don't end up in those problems? All of those conversations are happening all the time. So what I think is important is kind of feedback or a report of the team that is assigned to that or delegated for that task. You can always ask for a weekly report. If they are very new in handling a project, maybe perhaps to give them enough support or timely support, you can give them a daily feedback in the beginning, and when you see that they are actually getting it, you can turn it into a weekly feedback, or maybe then fortnightly and monthly, and then whatever works for you. Sometimes I work with teams where once the project is assigned, I only need to know when the project starts. I don't really need any report, to be honest. Do whatever it takes to make it happen. Do the problem solving, because if I have to solve every single problem for you, then what are you doing? What am I hiring you for? So you can always give that confidence, but then hold them up to that challenge and make them accountable to what they've been delegated, because that's very important. There's another question here. Many leaders pride themselves on decisiveness and confidence, but how can they balance that with the humility of self awareness, acknowledging blind spots without undermining their authority? Um, I personally feel if you are self aware, that's a dialogue between you and yourself. Nobody else needs to know. So why would you be undermining your authority? Or why would anyone undermine your authority? Because it's for you to understand you had a blind spot. It's for you to understand that you had a trigger. It's not for anybody else. It's for you to work on it. But if you know it and you're keeping that knowledge without having any action associated with it, then eventually it's going to have an impact on your leadership anyway. But this
You as the
dialogue,
leader cannot be afraid to make that mistake. And being self-aware will give you that. You'll be able to put yourself out there as your authentic self. You'll be able to recognize, as you just said, hey, here are my triggers. This is what I did wrong. Okay, I need to adjust here. And nobody might not have noticed anything except you, and you'll know how to adjust from there. But I think the important thing there is don't be afraid to make a mistake.
correct. True. I am really admiring all the points and everything that you have mentioned, Sarah, Hassan, Dani, Rafia, Annie. Thank you so much for all those points that you have been sharing with us. I love this. I would like I would like to read this. Loved it. Well, this is what they're saying. Loved it. Balancing confidence without slipping into ego takes deep self-awareness and emotional intelligence. That is so correct. If I feel I am self-aware of my leadership qualities and weaknesses, can I be a good leader? Of course you could be a good leader. That's what I just said. That dialogue is between you and yourself. Nobody else has to witness that dialogue. When I sit before sleeping, I'm always, running my entire day in my head, and I'm thinking, that's where I went wrong. I don't have to go and tell somebody I went wrong here. That's a dialogue for myself. So next day, I don't have to make the same mistake. So that's why you should never, ever associate or link acceptance of your weaknesses um, with with being a bad leader or weak leader. That's not what we are talking about here. We're talking about you having a dialogue with yourself, which leaders usually find hard to have. So if you are now thinking, oh yeah, I could think like that, oh yeah, I could, if you're thinking already on those lines, you're already set for the next stage, which is make sure that you are not repeating those mistakes, that you consider mistakes for your leadership. Okay? For example, your employees or your team members not talking to you or not asking questions because they're scared of you. Fix it. And you can certainly fix it. People are not giving you a report because they're worried that you will be holding them responsible. Guide them, coach them. That responsibility is tied into a job. You cannot have a job being paid a salary but not delivering targets. That's a matter of coaching. So you got to see where the problem is. If it is a problem of you fix it. If it's a problem in your team member understanding of their role, you talk to them. Nobody is going to pay anyone for not delivering their targets. So don't be shy. Demand targets, but demanding targets does not mean you have to be angry all the time. It does not mean you are not open to them. So that's very, very important. People always say, my doors are always open. Come in when you want to talk. And then nobody walks in because they're scared. So be approachable. I think you need to draw a line here. After this session, you should go back, take a paper, make 2 columns. Column A, as a leader, what do I need to fix in myself as a reflection of how my team is behaving? They're not talking to me. Why? Is there something wrong with me? Let's fix it. And then column B, you say, my team is not talking. They're not asking questions. Why? Is it because they're a brand new team? They don't know how to create questions? Then help them. So, in any case, the responsibility as a leader is still with you. Either you have to fix yourself or you have to invest in training your team members. I think that's what it looks like. John, any other ideas, any other things before we wrap up today's session, which I'm absolutely loving it. I don't think I'm going to sleep. Thank you so much, everyone, for making this a wonderful interactive session. So, John, over to you.
If you want to be an expert in emotional intelligence, you need to be an expert in self-awareness. Because if you are not self-aware, if you don't understand your own behaviors, and as I said earlier, then self-regulation, empathy, motivation, social skills won't matter because you won't be able to communicate properly because you're not going to be able to tell what your own mistakes are. So self-awareness is the foundation of emotional intelligence. You don't want to be good at it, you want to be great at it.
Correct. Absolutely. Thank you so much, John. I believe that people have taken a lot of learning points from your experience and from mine. And we will connect next week, same time again for the same duration, to see what more we can unpack for people who are aspiring to be good leaders and how we can help them. As we wrap, let me leave you with this. Leadership isn't about how tightly you control others, it is about how deeply you know yourself. Your team doesn't need a perfect boss. They need a human who can pause before reacting, who can own their shadows, who can take feedback without flinching. Self awareness is not a one off workshop, it is a practice, a discipline, a mirror that doesn't lie, but only if you are brave enough to look. So here is my challenge, and you got to do this. Pick just one tool from today. We told you about 60 seconds body scan. We told you about a journal on your triggers and blind spots. We told you about some other things, some other tools, talking to your teachers, having a corner, coffee chat corner or something. Make it more welcoming so they don't get afraid that what are we going to be taught? Are we in trouble? Is it going to be, telling off session? Make it more welcoming for them so they can open up to you. So these are the things that you are going to do um, today when you are going back and thinking about your work. From today, journal your triggers, scan your body, ask for feedback. Just one thing, because awareness without action is just theory. Leadership is a privilege, and if we refuse to see ourselves clearly, we fail the very people who trusted us to lead. That's what you need to remember. John, thank you for your honesty and the values that you brought into this conversation, your personal examples that you enlightened us with. And to everyone listening, thank you for daring to face the mirror with us. This was Unboxed with SG. Ego is the enemy of leadership. Ego is a box. And remember, boxes are for wrapping gifts, not for trapping leaders. Step out of your box. Thank you so much and good night. Allah Hafiz.